Hey guys, Brenda Smith. Let's talk December Daily albums. If you're not familiar with December Dailies, it's an album concept created by Ali Edwards. You can go check out her blog. She's got a lot up about it right now. There's a December Daily Facebook group that you can go check out as well. I am currently making my December Daily 2015 album. Paper style, but I also decided that I wanted to go back and make one for 2014 as I never did last year. So I am making this album hybrid style. Everything I'm using today is from Just Jamie over at the Lily Pad. Mostly I am using her December 2015 storyteller collection called Riley, but you will see me pulling from other things, so I'll have some credits for you, but everything is from her store. I first opened up a canvas. It's 24 inches by 24 inches. Later on, I will resize it to 24 inches by 28 inches because it wasn't big enough. I'm making a 4x4 hybrid album. I'm using one of the We Are Memory Keepers albums. I picked it up from Joann's, I think. And I am going to be printing up everything individually. I want there to be a lot of tactile layers in this album. So everything's going to be printed up individually, the cards, the background papers, the photos, the embellishments. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about how I prepare all of this for printing. The process got a little confusing for me initially, but I think I was able to sort it out to where it would be a little bit less confusing. So what I'm doing now is pulling in all of the cards and the papers that I want to use for the base of each page in my album. I am going through it chronologically and just working that way. I kind of have in mind already photos that I'm going to be using with these cards, but I'm also kind of playing it by ear. I'll add the most of the embellishments later on after I add the photos. What I'm doing now is adding journaling strips onto this card. I will go back later and add the words, but I just wanted to add a story and didn't feel like cutting up pieces of paper to make my own journal strips, so I'll add some shadows to these layers to make it look more realistic. So on the card next to this one, the one with the trees, you may have seen me add that rectangle on top of it, just the white rectangle. And the reason I did that is because I am going to be clipping a photo to it. So I just used the shape tool and kind of approximated what size I wanted the photo on top of it to be. And later on I'll bring my photo in and I will clip it to that layer. You just saw me moving over the cards because I realized that for my album, the way it's laid out, I was missing a spot. So I needed to add one more spot in there. And then I just moved all of the cards over one more space because I wanted to have, I decided on a vellum overlay for my very first page in the album. I have some gold foil star vellum and I wanted to use that. So I'll just put this Santa and the I Do Believe in Santa word art on top of that page. So this is from the Christmas mini kit that is in the Just Jamie Riley Storyteller collection. There is an entire little mini kit within the rest of the Storyteller collection. So there are a lot of these little Santa, snowflake, and that kind of thing themed papers and cards. If you're looking for the quickest way to do a December Daily album, this probably is not it. It took me quite a while to finish this album, several hours over several weeks, but I also made a lot of choices that made it a much lengthier process than it could be as a hybrid album. You could most certainly make this every card all as one layer. You could add the shadowing to the embellishments and the photos and then just print it up as one layer instead of adding in all the things individually. But I really did want there to be all the texture and the layers, so I decided to take the time and to make it exactly how I envisioned it. So what you just saw me do there, I decided to use this family picture of us at the tree lot and it will be the picture that occurs before day one, so right next to my reason why there, that I'll have on that countdown card. And I just used my RadLab add-on. That's how I edit my photos, so I added that on. I'm going to go ahead and do the journaling for this. This is the reason why. That's what Ali Edwards called it, and it's just pretty much an intentions page. It explains why you're doing this album, and I started an album last year that I never finished, so that's what you see me looking at. I'm looking at last year's album, and I'm just copying the reason why onto this. The journal card, as you see, it's kind of cut off. The top of it is, or actually I pulled it down here, but I'm going to move it back up to where it is cut off a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the pattern paper at the bottom. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want there to be lots of, as I've said many times, lots of layers in this album. So I'm going to have that journal card kind of peek above the 4x4 background paper there. It's going to be longer than that. And then on the back side of the journal card, I'm going to use another little bit of pattern paper from Just Jamie to cover the back side of the journal card and then add some more darts or something. But I will show you all of that later on when I'm actually assembling the album after I've printed everything out. Okay, so here you see me adding rectangles on top of these 4x4 background papers, and those are going to be my photos. So I'm going to figure out what photos I'm going to put on there right now. I'm looking in iPhoto and then just dragging them into Photoshop. This one, as you can see, my daughter has red eye, so I'm just using the red eye tool to clear that up before adding it to my canvas. And then I am in RadLab again. Some of my favorites that I use all the time, I always use Lights On. I usually like to use either OSnap or Punch Out as kind of like a contrast and sharpening tool. For this one, it was pretty warm in temperature, so I wanted to cool it down a little bit. That makes it a little bit more blue, less yellow. So those are some of the things that I did to this photo. This photo I took with flash on my phone, so it's not a very good photo, but I wanted to include it anyway. I decided that I wanted to show the main point of this picture was the matching PJs between she and her doll, so I didn't want to cover them up too much. So I made the photo a little bit bigger. That's the nice thing about doing this hybrid, is that I can just easily resize things. As you can see there, I skipped so you don't have to watch me add and process each and every photo, because it is tedious and I'm just doing the same things over and over and over again. The good thing about RadLab, if you do have that add-on or if you purchase one, the good thing about that add-on is they have recipes. So if you find a recipe or you find yourself using filters commonly over and over again, you can just make a recipe and apply it to each additional photo. So I do definitely do that for a lot of these photos, but sometimes different photos call for different filters and varying degrees, so it doesn't always work that way. I'm just going through and trying to pick out some more pattern papers. I'm going beyond just the December Storyteller Riley collection. I'm using last year's, the December 2014 Storyteller collection, and I'm also pulling from Just Jamie's collaboration with Mommyish, a Real Life and Pages collaboration, and it's called Shelf Elf. Just because I wanted to have some more Christmas-specific embellishments and papers, as well as colors kind of in that red and green and pink scheme. I'm not going to show you how I add each and every paper and photo just because it's monotonous, but I do want to show you how I am making a full 2-page spread of just one photo. So I pulled in my photo from iPhoto, and I selected my square on the left there, and I made sure that that photo was right above that. The way that you can do that most easily is select that layer first and then pull your photo in. But I didn't do that this time, so I had to adjust it over on the layers over there on the side, on the right side bottom. I duplicate that layer by right-clicking and clicking duplicate, and then I clip the one on the left to the square underneath it, and then I clip the duplicate picture to the square on the right, and that makes a full page to 4x4s of one picture, and I really like how that looks. I'm going to be adding some journaling cards in between those two. I used some stamps by Just Jamie on the one on the right there, the Enjoy the Little Things, and I'm just going to kind of keep them around like this because I'm going to print them out, and they're going to cover up the photo for now, but obviously they won't be that way once I actually print them out. I decided that Santa kind of had a different feel than what I was going for, so I chose this Santa. This one is from the December 2014 Storyteller Collection, and I really like kind of like the playful look of that Santa, and I felt like it kind of matches more with the stories that I'm telling, so I went in that way. I want to show you how I am using digital brushes. So I go up to my brush tool and then I click on the little settings wheel and I find this brush file, an ABR brush file. This is from Just Jamie. I believe it's from the December 2014 Storyteller Collection. I picked white as my color, but before doing that, I wanted to create an additional layer. That enables me to move the stamp around and resize. So here you will see me, I clicked on New Layer, and now I can move around just the stamp, and I can resize, I can recolor as I wish. So now, as you can see, I have all my background cards and photos in place, and I wanted to show you that I've made a couple different sizes of photos throughout this album. I did some photos that fit neatly onto the canvas of the 4x4 cards, but then there are some other photos that I did that hang over the edges or that span, 2 pages like I showed you a few minutes ago. These ones that hang over the edges, those ones that you just saw, are 3.5 by 5 inches. And I just have some other randomly sized ones throughout the album, and I will show you how I'm going to go about and add a little bit of extra color to my cards. One of my favorite things that Just Jamie releases with every Storyteller collection is her digital paints. Now, a lot of these, if not all of them, I'm not sure, are hand painted by Jamie herself, and she just does a great job. And I know that I sure can't paint like that, so I'm grateful that she shares those with us. So I just put this right above my card. I right click to create a clipping mask, and then I click on both layers and I merge them, and that's so the paint doesn't hang off the edges and get onto other things as I print out. I'm just going to add one more piece of paint here, and this is just a red and white paint, and I'm going to do the same thing, create clipping mask, right click. So I went ahead and finished up the rest of the work on this in Photoshop off camera, so you guys didn't have to see me do the same things over and over again. It's a bit tedious. So now we need to prep for printing, and I'm going to show you how I go about doing that in the next video. So I will link you to the next video down below in the description for the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll catch the next one.